det lite svaga sånt som ligger.
Can you hear me out there? Oh, that's great. Hello, Nick, Mr. Soundman, superlative. Well, I'm getting comfortable. I take every possible opportunity to come to Beatle Fests and Beatle Weeks all around the world. Why? Because I know, and you know, why we Beatles went. We Donovans and Beatles and Mike Love went to India. Of course the music was wonderful, but we were searching for something. We were searching what would be the cure, if possible, to actually heal the sickness of humankind. George and Paul and John and I and Ringo, we read the same books. We found in each other comrades on our path, on our traveling path to try to find for ourselves what this meditation was all about. So when John and the cabin guys here said, would you like to come this year to Liverpool? I said, yeah, man. If we do a special concert, and we call it Shram-Rock. And I will now sing a few songs from my very early days, which brought me and those four guys from this city together. We kind of saw in each other, heard in each other, a similar passion. Even from my first song, which was my first hit, and it goes like this. In Chile, hours and minutes of uncertainty, I wanna be in the warm room of your loving mind. 14 years all around me, I want to take your hand along the sun. But is when try and catch the wind. When sundown is the sky, I wanna hide a while behind your smile. And everywhere I look, your eyes I find. For me to love you now, what would be the sweetest thing? 'Twould make me sing. But it is that try and catch the wind. With tears, I want you here, for to kill my fears, for to help me to leave all my blues behind. by standing in your heart is where I want to be and long to be. Can you sing? I might as well try and catch the wind. Can you sing more? I might as well try and catch the wind. Can you sing it again? I think I might as well try and catch the wind. Yellow is the color of my true love's hair in the morning when we rise. In the morning when we rise, here comes the chorus. That's the time.
That's the time.
That's the time.
That's the time.
I love the best. Blue is the color of the sky in the morning when we rise. In the morning when we rise, that's the time.
That's the time.
That's the time.
That's the time.
I love the best. Green is the color of the sparkling corn in the morning when we rise. It sounds reggae now. In the morning, hey boy, when we rise, that's the time. That's the time. I love the best. Wanna try yellow is the color? Yellow is the color of my true love's hair in the morning when we rise. Hey, who's smoking all that ganja? In the morning when we rise, that's the time. That's the time. I love the best. Freedom is a word I rarely use without thinking. Without thinking. Of the time. Of the time when I'm in love. Mellow is the feeling that I get when I see her. Oh yeah, when I see her. Oh yeah, that's the time. That's the time. I love the best. Okay, yellow is the color. Yellow is the color of my true love's hair in the morning when we rise. In the morning when we rise, that's the time. That's the time. I love the best. I love the best. I love the best. I love the best. So these first four songs of the Shram-Rock concert is just introducing me to you and the songs that began this very unusual journey when folk music invaded pop culture. And I was like one of those folk singers. But don't forget this. Lennon and McCartney, as the both Irish songwriters of this band that became the Beatles, come from a tradition in Liverpool, heavily influenced by folk music, poetry, storytelling, and radical thinking. This all adds up to what we know, you know, that we all love about the Beatles. But when you uncover the surface of all that success, underneath it was always, very much so, a tradition of poetry, radical thought, Irish folk music, and a love of American pop music. One day, these elements were going to come together for this band called the Beatles, and I would actually be there and to see it happen. Me and Bob Dylan, Joni Mitchell, Leonard Cohen, we kind of invaded from the folk world. But the Beatles also already had in this city of Liverpool a very strong background of popular song, of course, folk music that was pumped into this city over the last 200 years, and a great radical and a spiritual vibe. One song of my early days, which seemed to bring me and those four guys together, mentioned something which was something to do with meditation. This Shram-Rock concert will go on in a moment to explore that. But a song I wrote in 1965 about Goodge Street in London mentions using the eyes you have not used yet. Already the Beatles were reading the books. I was reading the books. What was this thing called yoga and meditation? Could it actually be true? The sick world and the sick humanity could be cured in some way if we put these ideas in our songs. And somehow I looked like I was first to make a song about it called Sunny Goodge Street. And it goes like this. On the Firefly platform on sunny Goodge Street, a violent hash smoker shook a chocolate machine involved in a meeting scene, smashing to neon streets in their stillness, reading their eyes on the crazy color goddess, listening to sounds of Mingus, mellow, fantastic. My beside, my beside. In the dollhouse rooms with the colored lights swinging, strange music boxes so sadly tinkling, you drink in the sun shining all around you. My, this eye. The magician, he sparkles in satin and velvet. You gaze at his splendor with eyes you've not used yet. I tell you his name is love, love, love. My, this side, love. on my side. It wasn't all serious though. We had a lot of fun. By the way, later I'm going to sing you a song about my muse. There were many Beatle muses, you know. And I fell in love with a girl called Linda. We parted for a while, which was good for us, because the 60s tore every relationship apart. Even Paul and Jane and John and Cynthia. Ringo lost, you know, Maureen, and George and Patty were kind of like lovely, just wonderful, couldn't believe it. But I guess she couldn't have kids, and George had wanted all his life. I don't know why. It's difficult having kids. We never actually think about what it's going to be like. Most of my kids were called love children. I didn't plan it. It seemed like George wanted to. But Linda was my muse and my sunshine supergirl, which I'm going to sing later. But tonight it's Shram-Rock. Shram-Rock. Very similar to Shram-Rock, really. The Irish and the Scots are all over popular music. We are the storytellers. We are the poets, we are the radicals. And most of us come from Manchester, Liverpool and Glasgow. That's the story is the same. You go to Nashville in America, you can't help but bump into an Irish or a Scottish last name in the corners of those musical clubs over there in America. But we were headed for the ashram. There was no question about it. Linda and I split up, of course, a little bit, but that saved us in the end. One of the only relationships was saved because we didn't actually go through it together from 66 to 69. It was an absolute nightmare. You know the music, but living it was extraordinary. But there again, there was always the music and there was always love. And Patty had a sister, and I kind of missed Linda and was looking for an English rose. And Jenny, Patty's sister, came the inspiration for this song called Juniper Juniper. We didn't become lovers, but it was sweet while it happened. Juniper. It actually mentions meditation. Juniper, Juniper lives upon the hill. Juniper, Juniper sitting very still. Is she dreaming? I don't think so. Is she breathing? Yes, very low. What you doing, Jennifer, my love? Jennifer, Jennifer, ride a double mare. Jennifer, Jennifer, lilac in her hair. Is she dreaming? Yes, I think so. Is she pretty? Yes, ever so. What you doing, Jennifer, my love? I'm thinking of what it would be like if she loved me. You know, just lately, this song, it came along and I had to somehow try and tell her, Jennifer, hair of golden flags like yours, Jennifer, she longs for what she lacks. Oh, do you like her? Yes, I do, sir. Then would you love her if I could, sir? What you doing, Jennifer, my love? Jennifer, I'm thinking of what it would be like if she loved me. You know, just lately, this song, it came along and I had to somehow try and tell you, Jennifer, oh, Jennifer, oh, yeah. So when George heard it, that song, he said, "What's going on, Don?" I said, "I don't know what's going on, really. Are you going to India?" He said, "Yes, Don, we are." I said, "Well, I'm coming too." Well, he said, "Well, of course, it's all the books we've read, you know, we must check it out and see if it really works. Because if it works for us, it will work for the world. And I know that you know that our songs are about positive thinking and somehow to try to solve this difficult problem that the human race thinks that it's the most advanced species on the planet. 2 wars and a depression and a nuclear bomb and quickly killing the planet. Is that the most advanced species on the planet? It was these thoughts that took us to India, but also the music. George and I, you probably know, were very early into the sitar. Of course, he heard the sitar on that movie, didn't he? What was it called? Help? Yeah, I think it was. So, Ron, he looked at me one night, my school friend, and he said, "What are you doing?" I said, "Well, I think we're invading popular culture with bohemian ideas and making songs for a positive future. And if everybody would actually like us enough to buy our records, we might make a difference." So tonight, John of the Cavern group here that presents the Beatle Week found for me an Indian ensemble here in town, and I'd like to invite on stage to show you what George and I loved about Indian music with 2 songs that I made on my Sunshine Superman album, which in a way, just like George, introduced sitar to the whole world. Please welcome on stage Jazz Deep Singh and his group. Funny thing is, I'm going to sing you one of the songs from Sunshine Superman. Good evening, Jazz. Good evening. They take their places. George and I love this. The whole thing was, you sit down to make the music. And we just sat down. And then there's a little tuning, of course. And just make sure that you can hear it. I think his name's Jazz. and the band are called Deep. Well, this song, on the Sunshine Superman album, which seems to be understood now as opening the first door in the 60s and recorded in Abbey Road 2, before Pepper, which came later, but opened a door to the possibilities. Wide open, the door opened, and encouraged my pals, the Beatles, to experiment further. Because, you know, I was a solo and not a band, and I had this attitude to it. Why don't we just put everything together and break all the rules? And so I took this. The song came out, which was like a kind of a troubadour song from the 16th century, a minstrel song from our background here in the British Isles. But I thought, Sean Phillips, my pal, he was playing sitar. So we put sitar together and maybe a little bit of tabla-style bongos. And behind me is an instrument called the tambura. Tambura is usually played by ladies in India, and they chant with it. We could call it the bass. It's the bass. It's the bass in Indian music. So what you've got is a troubadour song from the 14th century, blended with tabla and sitar and tambura and poetry. And it goes like this.